Hello, Son of a fans. Brad Denny with 3TV, CBS 5, and the Speak of the Devils podcast here, coming at you with another fall camp quick hit mini episode. This time coming right after ASU wrapped up their fourth practice of fall camp, and this is a practice that Kenny Dillingham said was the quarterback's best so far. This is a week that has seen some struggles for the offense overall. The defense continues to be very strong, much as it had been throughout the course of spring practices. And we'll get in the quarterbacks here in a moment, kind of run you through what happened on this very, very hot Thursday practice. They began things with some kickoff and special teams work. The Lions got some individual drills. Then they moved over to some perimeter games, some screen downfield blocking, some kind of stuff on the outside, getting their defensive backs and their wide receivers kind of matching up and seeing who is able to make those plays downfield when the ball is actually at the going out to the perimeter. Things opened up with the tempo session then, and kind of as we've seen all week with the quarter with Drew Pine and Trenton Bourguet kind of flip-flopping by the day in terms of who gets those first reps. Monday and Wednesday, it was Trenton Bourguet. Tuesday and today was Drew Pine, and Pine, continues a better fall camp as he has than what he showed in the spring. He had a good downfield shot to Gio Sanders. Sanders also had some pretty good adjustment on that ball to make a very large gain. Bourguet was just kind of his composed self, just taking some shots underneath and taking what the defense gives him. Garen Stansbury came out and had a really good pass rush move to get a sack during one of Bourguet's drives. The Bourguet drive ended with a defensive pass interference call. The team then worked to some individual position group drills. The last couple of days, I've been kind of spending a little bit more time looking at the Sun Devil offensive line because obviously that's going to be a very, very crucial position group. Saga Tulatele is getting it after. He's a fiery coach, and he's really pushing them to finish the drills to the end. At one point, one of the returning offensive linemen was not doing well, and he just made reference that you were 3-9 last year. That effort is not going to cut it. And then on the next rep, you saw that player have an improvement. So sometimes those little messages can be received. Then there was a team session, and Pine got the first series, took a sack and made a scramble. Troy O'Meara then had an unfortunate drop, but then as we've seen all spring and all fall, B.J. Green, defensive end. He's just I've tweeted out many times. He's just a flat-out menace. Big-time TFL. Kyson Brown, the true freshman running back who you heard from on yesterday's quick hit episode, had a really, really strong day. Made some really good plays as a runner and also as a receiver. This time he took a nice dump off from Drew and took for a sizable gain downfield. Jaden Rashada that had a couple series, and he kind of had a rough day. One of those freshman type of days where you could tell there's still a learning process, and obviously the competition does technically include him, but obviously for all intents and purposes, 2-horse race. Had a near interception on some pretty good coverage, but some decisions that you see that just experience, some rough edges that experience will stand out here in the future. Trenton Bourguet had kind of a rough go a little bit in terms of just there's looking to be some miscommunication, and the pass rush pressure was getting there. The offensive line perhaps struggling a little bit. Cam Scattaboo had a good catch and run and a nice dart from Trenton Bourguet across the middle on a good catch and run for a big gain from Melquan Stovall. Garen Stansbury again was in the backfield, had a nice TFL there. Then moved to another special teams session with the field goal unit, and Dario Longhetto continues his perfect fall, making all of his kicks. Ian Hershey, the backup, who was an Idaho State transfer, one of many on this team, also perfect as well. And they weren't exactly extending the range extensively like they did on Tuesday, where Longhetto was hitting from over 50. This is all under 40 yards, but still making those kicks, taking those points, and so that's just really all you can ask of your kicker. Then, of course, with this as being the second day of shells, with the shoulder pads popping, the physicality ramping up, they moved to inside run. Emmett Boley, who's been continuing to see time as the first-team right tackle, had a really good run block on B.J. Green, but then B.J. Green came back on the next play, made a huge TFL there. Deshaun Mallory, the transfer defensive tackle from Michigan State, big-time penetration, I believe forced a fumble on one of those plays, so it was really good physicality there. Ben Bray, who's had some struggles in terms of the second team center in terms of his snapping, actually got pulled during one drill or one session today, but had a good block on, was able to spring a touchdown run. And Kyson Brown, again, had a long touchdown run through the middle. Looked like Aaron Frost, the transfer tackle, had a nice block there to help spring things away. Then they moved to another team session. This time was a little bit more run-heavy. So there's a quick hit to Badger from Drew Pine. Cam Scattaboo had a good run. Will Schaefer and CJ Fight also had some good plays in terms during a drive led by Bourget to combine and stuff the run as well. Then they went to a period of individual walkthroughs where the offense takes one field, the defense takes another field. It's very kind of instructional teaching period. So they're not running around, and so it's really it's one of those times where you really see kind of the teaching qualities of the staff come together. Then the 7-on-7 period was pretty interesting. I saw both quarterbacks had some pretty good moments. Drew Pine was solid again, but then Bourget kind of really impressed me a little bit. He had a nice swing pass to Kyson Brown for a big gain, a big-time shot down the middle of the field to Bryce Pierre, who I think is going to be a good contributor this year from the tight end spot. And then right on the next play, a very deep gain right along the seams, it looked like, down the right side to Melquan Stovall. Jaden Rashada took some chances, and again, this time he got away with it, or this time he wasn't able to get away with it, as he was in the prior team session, was picked off on a pass, but that arm strength is definitely there. So maybe there's a little bit of gunslinger mentality of trusting that arm a little bit, and so that this offensive staff of Bo Baldwin and Kenny Dillingham maybe can get some more caution in there, because that's one thing that this offense really prides itself on, not turning the ball over. But the arm strength is definitely down there as well. Drew Pine had a pass that was out to the sidelines on a deep out, kind of floated that ball a little bit. Shamari Simmons was able to, the safety from the transfer, had a very strong spring, came over, made the pick off there. Then had a nice deep touchdown to Ryan Morgan, the reserve tight end. Looks like a pretty bad blown coverage assignment. Some shades of the 2016 Sun Devil defense there. Didn't look like there was anybody within 20 yards there. But then then Pine came back with a very nice sideline ball to Jake Smith, who made the catch, made the toe tap there. And then in a red zone team session to kind of near the end of practice, Pine had another busted coverage touchdown opportunity that went to Xavier Guillory. And then one of the more entertaining episodes of the day was Drew Pine threw a fade ball to Elijah Badger, cornerback D Ford, who I think, I don't know if I mentioned on the last episode, but it's given me some Kobe Williams vibes in a good way in terms of an undersized corner technician. Who's, despite that size, is able to make some big-time plays on the ball. Made a really good play on the ball and knocked the ball away. Afterwards, he got a little fired up, screaming, "You can call that play 1,000 times, he won't catch it once." Well, Kenny Dillingham overheard that, and so he put a stop to the session and made it. And we had an impromptu one-on-one battle. It's kind of when you put your money where your mouth is. And so with Pine as a quarterback, everybody else on the field taking a knee. It was just one-on-one, Ford v. Badger. Another fade ball, and Ford might have got a little handsy. There was a flag thrown by the official there, and then the red zone session resumed. But it's good to see there, the spirit of competition under Kenny Dillingham at these practices has been alive and well. Jalen Conyers doing Jalen Conyers things, had a great touchdown, just kind of falling to the ground as he had to make adjustment on a Drew Pine pass, hauls in the ball, 6 points. Jalen Conyers, still pretty good at football. Drew Pine later had a scramble touchdown. And then in the main event, it was kind of interesting. This was the first time that we've had a practice close on a main event. Looked like the offense was given one series in the red zone. Mason Williams continues to have a strong camp, had a good coverage spot. Jalen Conyers had a reception for 7 yards over the middle. And then some controversy as to whether DeCarlos Brooks moved the sticks with a first down run. But apparently at that point, Kenny called the end of practice, so that wraps up what we saw today on the fourth practice session. So it was overall a good camp, and so we will see. Friday will be another day in shells, and Saturday will be the first time in full pads. It'll be the earliest they are allowed to do that per NCAA rules. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how the things pop. That'll be the sixth straight day of practice before the team gets a day off on Sunday. So might be getting a little fatigued. So That's actually one of the questions that after practice I asked ASU defensive line coach Vince Amey about how he's going to have these guys kind of inevitably on these long month-long camps, and it's pretty grueling, how he's going to get through that, as well as talking about some of Camp T. It's how the defensive line and defensive tackles specifically are coming along. So some good things there from Vince. So let's get to it. Here's my conversation with ASU defensive tackles coach Vince Amey.
Overall impressions of just kind of the D-line so far, and given where you would hope they'd be at this point.
Man, I know you guys have been out here watching, but we've been eating, we've been making plays and doing good things. We just got to be consistent with that, and then really, as it gets hot out here and the camp goes on, we have to be always ready to practice. We can't start off slow, so it's my job to get, prepare them in the morning in meetings to get them going, and they have been receptive to it, and they've been doing well, and I like how physical they've been. The pad level and using their hands, then turning around to the ball. That's probably the biggest thing that we have to work on is running to the ball. And we're getting there. So there's some guys that do it, some guys that, kind of, a little lethargic with it. But in order to play in this defense, you have to be able to turn and run to the ball.
Deshaun Mallory coming in, it seems to be some question like whether he'd be able to join. He's on the team. It seems like he's made a couple of big plays, especially like inside runs. It looks like he's making his presence felt. What are your impressions of him so far?
Oh yeah, more than a couple. He's making plays all day, every day, man. And like I was telling the guy earlier, between him and Coop, I couldn't be more pleased with the effort and what they're doing. And like I said, I gave them a little break today in team because they deserve it. They worked their tails off, so they're leading by example. And the younger bucks are seeing this, and they're following suit.
Speaking of Coop, making that transition from the end of the last couple of years to inside in spring, now that he's got some more reps under his belt, and how do you feel he started off fall camp?
He's going to surprise some people this year. He's suited for that position. His body frame, he's put on some good weight. He's very savvy. He knows the defense. He's good with his hands. Plays a great pad level. He a good change of direction. I'm happy about Coop. Really happy about him. I'm happy he came back, and I'm happy he's here.
So those top two guys in the depth chart seem to be really impressive so far. How do you feel about your depth and the other guys that are kind of vying for more reps in that rotation?
Yeah, between CJ Fight, Sam Benjamin, Tristan Monday, we brought in Harold Brooks. Harold got banged up a little bit, but I think he'll give us some depth. But yeah, I want CJ and Sam, to keep going, keep doing what they're doing. Blazing. He has to pick it up. And he has. He's improving. So that's what camp is for. These guys have been working their tails off all summer long. So and it's showing. They come out here working and doing well.
Now you obviously know what it's like to go through camp, and in this heat, and going to Camp T. As some of the the grind starts to set in camp over the next month. What are some of the things you as a coach got to do to kind of get these guys to kind of push through some of those walls?
Well, as a coach, I need to wake up every morning and be ready. What I'm saying? I was telling the guys today. I said I woke up, my alarm clock, and I was just laying there like, But then what? Boom! I had to flip the switch because I got to go in here, and if I'm their leader as a coach, they go as I go. So I came in there, I flipped the switch, I had some music playing in the meeting. Let's go, get your mind right, let's start fast. And and they were very receptive to it, and they came out here to good practice. So it's really on me to get these guys going. And there's gonna be days where I might have a little, voice. Mallory and Coop, they know they'll pick up the slack for me, but I ain't gonna let that happen.
Camp T next week. I mean, you know that place very well. What are you going to want to get out of your guys and make sure they get out of the experience, both on the field, but it seems like the biggest impact that Camp T ever has is kind of off the field in that bonding process.
You hit it nail on the head right there. You go up to the mountains. I'm glad there's no cell phone reception is horrible. Put your phones down. Let's get to know each other. What I'm saying? About your life stories, have campfires, kumbaya, but then grind practice out, go eat lunch in the cafeteria, and just take it all in and bond. Like I said, I can't wait to go, Camp T for 4 years, and that's where the men were made, that's where relationships were made, the bonds were made, and then we come back, and we're different human beings when we come back from there, and because we get to know each other, we hug on each other, we love on each other, become family, and I'm excited about it. As a matter of fact, I was going through some old stuff. I got the one at a time shirts and all that stuff. I might just pop a few of those on and bring them with me every day, wear them to practice or something. So,
over the next couple of weeks, what are the things that you are the most critical for your group to accomplish to make sure that you feel comfortable in them for the 31st against Southern Utah?
Just being consistent, dialing in, getting the play calls down, and like I said, really just having that mindset of turning the run to the ball and being in attack mode all the time. So every day, we got to come out here and grind it out, and we'll get them their breaks and stuff like that. But this camp is where it's at, and so we can't let up, take the foot off the gas pedal with them. We have to push them to their limits. They have to know their limits, bring out the inner beast in them. And so that's our job as coaches to do that, and we're getting the best out of them.
And then also after practice, I was able to catch up with one of ASU's highly touted incoming freshmen, K'Vion Thunderbird, a linebacker who is a 3-star prospect out of Chicago. He's a very talented player and has seen, even just over the 4-day span, some noticeable improvements in his game. So here's what K'Vion had to say.
4 days into first camp as a Sun Devil, how do you think things are going so far?
Everything going smooth. We're just taking a day at a time, getting better every day.
What are some of the things that kind of jump out to you, kind of making that jump up to Power 5 level?
Just working, just staying in meetings, paying attention, taking notes, just the little things like that, just focusing.
How's the speed of the game coming along?
It's faster, way faster. It's way faster, I'm not going to lie. But just trying to be up there with everybody else. So, yeah, just be up there with everybody else, really.
I believe you're a Chicago guy. How are you adjusting to this desert heat?
It's hot, I ain't going to lie. It's hot, dry heat, but it's not too bad. Still just working through it.
What's it like just being a kind of part of the program? Kenny Dillingham obviously is a guy who tries to blend the competitive with the kind of the fun and just kind of has a lot of energy. What's it like kind of stuck out to you just kind of being a member of this program so far?
It's great. I'm glad I'm a part of this program. Coach Dillingham, he brings a lot of energy to our team, and we're going to show something this year.
This defense of Brian Ward, very aggressive. What are the things that really kind of jump out to you about what it asks of the linebacker positions?
Can you say that one more time?
Like the scheme of Brian Ward, very aggressive. What kind of jumps out to you about what the defensive scheme asks of its linebackers?
You definitely got to be aggressive. You definitely got to be you definitely got to be an aggressive linebacker playing in this defense, and I'm the perfect guy for it.
Why do you think you're a perfect guy for it? What about your skill set? Think translates well?
Yeah, I can play in space. I'm aggressive. I can hit, tackle, cover, do all that.
AJ Cooper is a guy that really just the more guys I talk to just really seem to rave about him as like a kind of a teacher or mentor. What jumps out to you about just being coached by him?
Coach Coop, he's actually a great coach. Like one of the best coaches I've had. He's a little hard on me sometimes, but you gotta get that tough love, So he's just a great coach. He teaches me new things that I never learned back in high school. So.
I think it was a couple of days ago I was watching the linebackers do kind of position drills and noticed you went through a rep and he made some corrections and by the end he was very complimentary. We were he said just in 30 seconds saw a great improvement. What does it mean from a player to have the coach be able to take the time and just work on kind of making sure that everything's going well with you? I
appreciate that because he tell me what I'm doing wrong so I could adjust and fix it so I could be ready next time for the game.
The rest of the fall camp, heading to that opener on the 31st, what are the things that you personally want to accomplish to get yourself ready for the season?
I'm trying to accomplish at least getting on special teams, at least taking some reps, so getting out there and playing.
What kind of role do you want to grab in your freshman season?
I want to be a leader on the team. Whatever I got to do on the field, off the field, just be a leader on and off the field.